Hey guys, it's Drutter here, July 15th, 2015, and I'm excited to be back for my mid-2015 silver update. I'm just out here in the garden in the backyard of my grandma's place, but this is a silver video, be assured. And it's only the second silver video that I've done in over a year and a half after doing them regularly since early 2009. I've had to dedicate my time to keeping my business alive and helping my dying grandmother stay out of a care facility, so while I have been extremely preoccupied with that, I at the same time feel a burning need, I guess you could say, to advocate for liberty and to try and make a positive difference in the world, as cliche as that sounds. I just can't not do that. So I've been making big changes in my own life, personally, as I have over the past many years, but the past year and a half has been very big. And as well as I have been getting more involved in local grassroots activism. And due to an exciting development that I'm going to talk more about later in another video, which has lowered my personal vulnerability, I now feel comfortable sharing a lot of these big changes with you here on my channel. So I will talk about that shift in focus that my channel is taking probably in the next video. But first, something that will always be an important part of the Drutter channel, a silver update. I'll also be posting regular videos showing the garden here and giving my thoughts and tips on that. But as always, I will title my uploads so that you can avoid clicking on anything you're not interested in. I don't want to waste your time. I'm testing some new software and techniques with this video here, so please let me know your feedback on it. Enjoy the update. I'm going to look at the past 2 years, a little longer than I've been quiet on this channel, and break the video into segments based on the main silver topics that I usually cover: philosophy, fundamentals, news, price, demand, and silver porn. Philosophy. This includes things like the meaning of intrinsic value, what differentiates money and currency, is privacy important when it comes to your belongings, investing versus storing purchasing power, etc. This is the easiest part of the video because nothing about any of those things has changed over the past couple of years, at least not for me. Precious metals like gold and silver are the best money we humans have ever discovered. Short-term price fluctuations that we are seeing, and we have been seeing, since I started this channel in fact, up and down, really have nothing to do with the philosophy behind precious metals ownership. I didn't get interested in silver because of the price. I got interested because of the reasons to own it. My thoughts on this have been well recorded abundantly on this channel over the years, so if you are interested in my philosophy on precious metals, it's all in there. Fundamentals, and we're talking here about production of silver bullion from mines, the recycling of scrap metal, retail demand, industrial demand, overall economic factors, interest rates, stock market action, currency values, geopolitical events, wars, and so on. Over the past 2 years, indeed over the past 10 years, there has been almost no change in the fundamentals for silver savings or investment. But even if there was a lot to talk about in silver fundamentals recently, that isn't what determines reality anymore, including the spot price. Reality now is determined by a blend of price manipulation and perception management. News. I have followed the stories concerning precious metals and the economy pretty much non-stop for about a decade now, before that having absolutely no interest in any of those topics, so it was a steep learning curve at first. And while I have seen a number of interesting developments in the past couple of years, few seem worth mentioning here in this summary. To be honest, it's been more of the same, really. Lawsuits against the big banks seem thrilling at first, until you've been through them year after year, following each one until it eventually goes nowhere or disappears, or just results in a tiny fine. What seems like it could be about to change the game for everyone ends up doing nothing but getting a few people hopeful that something's being done. even the revelation by the mainstream media and acceptance by society that every major market in the world is rigged hasn't resulted in anything actually changing. So no, I don't see a need to talk too much more about the current events in the silver world. Now, I gotta say though, it was nice to finally have the manipulation deniers fall silent, when even the most zombified sheep had to acknowledge gold and silver prices are not only manipulated, but completely fake. For price, I'm going to look at the same 2-year time frame starting in July 2013. Here's the charts in Canadian dollars, of course slightly simplified here. Gold up top has done fairly well in the past 2 years. Silver, however, in the Canadian dollar market has been essentially flat. Up and down, of course, but it's just barely over where it was 2 years ago. Now, precious metals denominated in US dollars don't look so good. Gold, still better than silver, but is below where it was 2 years ago, and silver is significantly down from where it was 2 years ago, about $15 today. I can flip back and forth between the Canadian and US. You can see the Canadian just above where it was 2 years ago, American below where it was 2 years ago, and we can see them both on the same chart. And you can see that where this actually started to go really wrong was this point exactly a year ago, July 2014, where everything was declining. Gold and silver in both currencies were sharply going downward. In fact, this silver in American dollars was plummeting, and that's when it plummeted down December 1st to $14.41. I believe it was in the middle of the night, just for seconds. I was watching the chart when it happened, and it was really interesting. And I thought, right as that happened, I said, that's the bottom in silver. That's the bottom on the US dollar chart. It's got to be, because I saw that it rebounded immediately from there. The next morning, it was already back up to $1 above where it was, or more than $1. It was like a flash crash, and I said, you know what, that's like that flash top we had at $50, where just for seconds it was at $50, and it never got there again. It spent most of its time below $47 on the silver chart, but most people say that 50 was the top. So I was saying, I think maybe most people are going to say 14's the bottom, but it's back up above 15. I don't know if I'm going to be right. It's currently still above 1440 on that chart, but not very much. So why was it that a year ago these charts, especially the US dollar chart, really started to plummet? And if you want to look at the US dollar index, we can see. And the US dollar index is just a measure of how the US dollar's value is holding up in regards to other currencies like the Canadian dollar and others around the world. So you can see that 2 years ago it was pretty flat, and about a year ago that's when it just started taking off. And it went from 80 on this index to just over 100 on the index before pulling back, and now it's just under 100 now at 97 or so. But it does seem to be on the rise again. Will it take out that top and go way above 100 as it has in the past sometimes? It sure could, and it fully explains why in US dollars, especially in the past year, the gold and silver market looks so bad, whereas in most of the world, it looks as though gold and silver has bottomed, or is close to the bottom at least. Myself, is this a good time to get into precious metals? A lot of people ask my opinion. I've got to put the disclaimer out there again. I don't invest. I'm not an investor. I stack precious metals when I can as savings, and I spend them again. I mean, they are my money. They are real money. They're private money. They are secure money, and you can keep them in your own possession, and I believe in precious metals, but I'm not an investor. I'm going to talk about that more later. But yes, for me, this is a good time to accumulate precious metal. If I had a lot of cash, or even any cash, I probably would put at least some of it into savings. I think that's a good policy. And my savings would be gold and silver. I don't save in the stock market. I don't save in cash. I save in gold and silver. And is this a good time to get it? At $15 on the US chart, just under 20 on the Canadian chart? Yes. Yes, that is a very, very good price. That was a very good price when I started getting into silver. It was $12 US, and that's when I started my channel at $12. I think I made my first purchase at 11 US. And back then, there was only a few people that were bullish on silver. Da Vinci, Vision Victory, and a few other people on YouTube. But really, you didn't even hear about it at all. And when you heard about it, it was negative. And that was the turning point for silver, was right there. Actually, it was more like $9 or $10 on the US chart. And it's been up to 50 since then. Now at $14 or $15 on the US chart, is that a good time to buy? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it a good time to invest? I don't know. The chart can do anything. They could put it to zero if they wanted to. They really could. Because it doesn't have anything to do with supply and demand of physical metal. We know that and we've proven that. So, can it go to zero? Yeah, it can. Will it? Maybe. Maybe it'll go down to 12 or something. I don't know. Maybe there's a better buy point. But for physical buyers, what are you waiting for? Seriously, what are you waiting for? The shortage is developing. Something seems to be coming this fall. At least some economic turmoil at the very least. The mines can't produce it at these prices, and we're not sure if we're going to buy yet or wait for it to go a little bit cheaper. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I think you know what I would do if I had some cash right now. And while we're talking about price, let's talk about the ratio of gold's price to silver's price. As you can see, over the past 20 years, it's been up to as high as 85 or 80 a few times, and it's been down as low as 32 to 40 or so a few times as well. This chart, of course, is simplified. It's got a few more ups and downs than this, but this is basically how it's been over the past 20 years. And as you can see right now, we are either at a top or close to a top, at least it seems. And what do these tops tend to represent? They represent when the precious metals market is at a low, because silver overcorrects in a correction and goes way, way lower in relation to gold. So that's when the gold to silver ratio is high. Silver is cheap, and that means we're at a low in the market. And when silver is high, it has overcorrected in relation to gold, and that's when the market is at a top or near a top. So these points here represent the tops in the silver market, highs in the silver market. These represent lows in the silver market. So we are either at a low or very close to a low, according to the gold to silver ratio and the past 20 years of precedents.